Well, good morning, everyone. It's June 6th, 2020, and this is the Cannabis News. I'm Rick Thompson. Let's begin. Well, there's a new report just issued by the University of Michigan Injury Prevention Center, which aimed to analyze the effects of cannabis in Michigan's medical marijuana era. Except when it doesn't. Now, some key observations quoted from the U of M website include about 3% of all state residents hold a medical cannabis card, nearly all of them for chronic pain. About 1.5% of Michiganders experience symptoms of cannabis use disorder. Medical cannabis led to net revenue for the state of between $5 to $7 million per year. 1 in 30 pregnant Michigan women reported using cannabis. The percentages were higher among those with the lowest incomes and education levels, potentially reflecting disparities. Emergency department visits and hospitalizations related to cannabis poisoning increased recently, with older teens and young adults accounting for a disproportionate share of cases. And cannabis-related misdemeanors and felonies accounted for nearly 4% of convictions in the state's criminal justice system, about half of which occurred at the same time as other felony convictions. There's some sketchy stuff here. One of the reasons to be suspect about this study includes who they worked with, including the Michigan High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Coalition. When scientists work with biased groups, biased results occur. This bias can be seen in the reporting of the results and the methodology itself. For example, again, quoting from the U of M website, 1 in 9 Michiganders reported using cannabis at least once in the last month, a percentage that increased 60% over a 14-year period. You see, they stretched back beyond the medical cannabis era to generate this statistic. Again, the percentage of fatal motor vehicle crashes in Michigan involving cannabis is increasing, even as the total rate of fatal crashes decreases. Among drivers tested for cannabis after such crashes, the percent that were positive more than tripled between 2004 and 2017, when 23.4% of tested drivers in fatal crashes had cannabis in their bloodstream. Again, the researchers reached back prior to their stated period of observation. Now, that's a pattern we've seen too many times before. The statistic looks an awful lot like the distortions seen in the factual manipulations used from the Rocky Mountain High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Group from Colorado, whose public releases are regularly disputed by university sources in that state and others. You want to know more? Or maybe tell the researchers what you think about their study? The authors will hold a Twitter chat on June 24th from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Times, and more details can be found on the report's website. Well, speaking of cannabis-themed chats, let's announce the Marijuana Regulatory Agency is having another live stream update on the status of the department. The MRA's quarterly meeting can be viewed on Thursday, June 25th at 9:30 in the morning. The meeting will be held via Zoom. You can call in if you don't have Zoom, or you can submit in writing your thoughts on the MRA's performance over the last 3 months. The purpose of this public meeting is to hear complaints and receive the views of the public on the MRA's administration of the MMFLA, the MRTMA, and the tracking program. Sticking with Michigan news, $110 million of recreational cannabis has been sold in Michigan since December 1st, according to new data released from the Marijuana Regulatory Agency, as reported on by Michigan station WSJM and others. Now, here's an interesting story. Looting in America during the George Floyd protests, looting of cannabis businesses. Now, that has impacted those businesses, according to John Schroyer of Marijuana Business Daily. He writes that costs involved are, quote, easily stretching into the millions of dollars. Schroyer says more than 40 marijuana companies across the country have suffered vandalism, burglaries, or looting. All the businesses who spoke to Marijuana Business Daily said their shops were not looted by angry protesters, but were targeted by criminals who had planned the break-ins. In Illinois, the Chicago Tribune reported earlier this week that every dispensary in the city was shuttered indefinitely by government order to prevent further looting. In Boston, Pure Oasis lost roughly $100,000 in inventory when the shop was broken into late Sunday. The retailer was open for business the next morning with almost no interruption in operations. Yet in California, some cannabis retailers are handling the situation like Canna professionals, others like Canna cowards. MedMen, The morally and financially challenged cannabis retailer closed all its shops nationwide after two of its Southern California stores were. Nug's 5 locations have been targeted every night since May 29, and the company's losses have reached at least into the low millions of dollars. Despite this, Nug's 2 retail shops have remained open for business, even though they've a vastly reduced inventory. They got battered storefronts, boarded up windows, and doors. But for California-based brand Cookies, the financial toll has been set aside for now in favor of prioritizing a social justice message in solidarity with the protesters who've been turning to the streets every night over George Floyd's death, reports Schroyer. A company spokesman for Cookies said, "For us, right now, the cost of those damages are far from the top of our mind." She added that both the company shops that were damaged over the weekend in LA and Oakland are already operational again. The priority for Cookies' leadership is supporting awareness of institutional racism, the spokesperson stated. You go, Cookies. Oh, how low High Times has fallen. I love the brand, I love the magazine, and I really love the events, but the company's turned to some hijinks to stay afloat. I've reported in the past about High Times and their struggle to enter the cannabis retail sales program, especially in California. The iconic brands tried to purchase or partner with licensed Cali dispensaries with really no degree of success. But now they've announced that they're coming to Michigan. A press release from yesterday, June 5, reveals the company's planning to purchase dispensaries in Michigan, Illinois, and Florida through a partnership with Red, White, and Bloom Company. The partnership stated they want 18 dispensaries in Michigan, all selling products originating from their huge 3.6 million square foot facility in Illinois. What? I can hear you all crying out, but wait, you can't legally transport medical and recreational cannabis across state lines. It's illegal. Says High Times, not if all they plan to sell are hemp and CBD products. Yeah, that's right. High Times plans a series of 18 branded stores in Michigan, all selling non-THC products. That represents a dramatic switch for the company whose magazine spent decades advising people on how to cultivate strains to achieve maximum THC content. Oh, the times they are a-changin'. Employment is important to the state economy, and thankfully, the state of Michigan supports 8,235 legal cannabis industry jobs, according to a study by Leafly. They rank Michigan as the 12th largest state in terms of employment for the cannabis sector. The report seems a little flawed. They estimate annual sales of only $420 million in Michigan, and we've easily exceeded that number in medical sales alone in prior years. Nationwide, the $10.7 billion legal cannabis industry supports the equivalent of 243,700 full-time jobs, and industry employment is increasing at a rate of 15% per year in the United States. That's awesome. Oh, final story for today. SpaceX just launched 2 people into orbit from American soil for the first time in years. But iconic billionaire owner Elon Musk had something else on his mind. Just a few hours ago, actually, in the early moments of this Saturday morning, Musk told his followers on Twitter he was about to say something that would, quote, probably get him into trouble. Then, Musk wrote he didn't understand how some people were still incarcerated for selling marijuana. His quote is, selling weed literally went from a major felony to essential business, open during a pandemic, in much of America, and yet many are still in prison. Doesn't make sense. Isn't right. Elon Musk tweeted that to 35 million followers on his account. Hey, Elon, welcome to the movement. Peel off $1 billion and we'll fix this shit forever, brother. Time to put up or shut up. And that's the Cannabis News for June 6th, 2020, broadcasting live from Flint, Michigan. I'm Rick Thompson. Catch me on the Jazz Cabbage Cafe every week on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.